Hello, my name is Michala Hvidt Breengaard, and I'm a researcher at the University of Copenhagen at the Department of Sociology.
And my name is Malin Henriksson, and I'm a researcher at the Swedish National Road and Transport Research Institute, VTI. And we work together in a EU-funded project called Tinno, Transport Gender Observatory, where we analyze the transport sector from a gender and diversity perspective. And today we will talk about cycling from different perspectives.
The Nordic countries are known as well-developed cycling nations. Copenhagen is even regarded as one of the top cycling cities in the world. And although the Swedish cycling culture is different compared to Copenhagen, Sweden has strong political goals to increase cycling, and in both Denmark and Sweden, a large proportion of daily life activities are carried out by bicycle. Said differently, cycling is seen as normal. Moreover, research indicates that while there are large gender differences in biking in most parts of the world, the share of female and male cyclists in Denmark and Sweden is largely the same. The cycling culture in these Scandinavian contexts can be captured in the discourse saying that cycling is good and we are good at cycling.
In this talk, we're going to question this we, asking if everyone can cycle and ask if everyone have the same opportunities to do so. As you might sense, we argue that the answer is no, but also that the dominant discourse on cycling as normal might make us forget that people are different and so are mobility needs and opportunities.
In relation to the Tinno project, we have studied gender and diversity aspects of cycling. Our aim has been to include different voices on cycling in the Scandinavian context, and one of our focus areas was ethnic minority women. We used a number of different methods in order to collect knowledge on cycling. We have done street surveys, observations, interviews, and focus groups. And in relation to ethnic minority women, we talked to women who participated in cycling courses arranged by Red Cross in both Linköping in Sweden and in Copenhagen in Denmark. Our observations and interviews with this group was interesting as they expressed other stories of cycling than what we usually heard. From our interviews with the ethnic minority women, we constructed 4 narratives that challenge the normative view on cycling in Scandinavia. These are called I see that everybody can cycle and I cannot. Cycling is difficult. I don't feel safe. And I dreamt I could cycle. In the following, we are looking into what each of these narratives contains.
And the first story we meet is that I see that everyone can cycle and I cannot, which mirrors the idea of cycling as normal in both countries, but also how these women are different from the norm. In the first quote, a woman in Linköping says, "In Sweden, everyone cycles and everyone drinks water," which point to this norm. So it's quite obvious in the interview quotes that there are different norms about cycling and that there might be clashes between norms of mobility, which are lived out at the individual levels. As such, it might be difficult to go against norms that you're raised with, but also to start engaging in cycling at a later stage in life. So the second quote from a woman in Copenhagen is telling from this perspective. She says, "I dreamed one day that I could cycle. In my hometown in southern Morocco, women do not cycle. There is a tradition that women do not cycle." In Denmark and in Sweden, most people learn to cycle at a very young age. And as another Swedish participant said it, many are embarrassed not being able to cycle.
The next narrative, cycling is difficult, continues to show these women's work on norms of cycling. People ask me why such an old lady wants to learn to ride a bike. This shows how age matters in deciding when it is acceptable to learn how to cycle, and how it might be a struggle to do cycling differently. But also, cycling includes material elements. I felt 3 times. I have a scar here because I had a bicycle that was too big, so I fell 3 times. Many are embarrassed not being able to cycle, but I just don't care anymore. Keeping the balance, finding the right size of bicycles, which continuously raised as a concern in the bicycle schools, and falling was a very central experience in these women's stories of cycling, which contrast the dominant idea that everybody can cycle and we are good at it.
So to be able to cycle is not, however, the same as being an experienced cyclist that feels secure in different settings. Several of the immigrant women we have talked to had examples of places where they felt unsafe. Often these environments are mixed with cars as well as other bicyclists. The first quote here from a woman in Copenhagen is a good example. She said, at Nørreport and Vesterport, it is really difficult. I don't dare to cycle there. And these are examples of train stations where there's a lot of people. The women try to avoid bicycle lanes that are crowded and where people travel very fast, as in central Copenhagen, for example. Some have had experience of accidents in such environments, which can lead to that you never start using the bicycle in the everyday life as a mode for commuting. And the second quote from another participant in the Copenhagen bicycle courses is telling. She said, I actually stopped cycling. I got scared. So for many years, I did not cycle. I wanted to try, but I am scared. And the last quote, where a woman from Linköping says, I just want a normal bike with a basket. Electric bicycles goes too fast. Also say something about what kind of bicycle trips you actually are imagining. So therefore, we call this narrative, I don't feel safe.
In different focus group sessions, 2 women stated that their motivation for signing up for the biking course was a dream they had. Independently of one another, they told that one night they dreamt they could cycle. It was evident that these dreams held more meanings than just the act of cycling. When looking closer into the dreams of cycling, especially 2 stories appeared. One about freedom and another related dream of independence. In the past, I dreamt about it, but then it became a reality. I am cycling. I always bike every day. Other women my age depend on their husbands. I want to learn to cycle. It gives me freedom from my family. If my husband doesn't have the time, then I bike myself. If I learn to ride a bike, then I control my life myself. Therefore, I wanted to learn how to ride a bicycle. And these quotes are all from the Copenhagen context, but they were repeated in the Swedish setting too. The stories show the clear benefits of reaching this group through initiatives of cycling, yet they are often forgot about in the Scandinavian context, where biking courses for immigrant women often are carried out by civic society and are dependent on volunteer work. The narratives show how the women strongly engage in the idea that cycling is good, yet they experience a range of troubles and obstacles to succeed. Also, not everybody will succeed in learning to ride a bicycle.
So what do we want to say by challenging the current Scandinavian discourse on bicycling with these 4 narratives? The insight we got from speaking to this group of ethnic minority women on issues on cycling made us question the common narrative of we all bike from the perspective of other groups in the Scandinavian societies. both seeing that opportunities of cycling differs greatly dependent of you as a fully mobile individual or cycling by yourself, or if you have care responsibilities, bringing children or elderly with you, but also if you are an elderly mobility impaired person or someone with disabilities. If you have a very low income and live in areas where theft and vandalism is common, then cycling might not be regarded as a particular cheap form of mobility. The point is that there are many perspectives on cycling if we start seeing cycling from the view of different groups in society.
So we argue that we need a stronger perspective on gender and diversity in Scandinavian research, policy and planning on cycling in order to promote a more inclusive approach of mobility for all. The dominating discourse on cycling today, as we have framed as we are all good at cycling, might mean that not everyone benefits from investments in cycling infrastructures. For example, bicycle superhighways for fast commuters with specialist bicycles or e-bikes that connects regional nodes may not benefit more unexperienced cyclists. And policy and planning might benefit the already privileged. For example, priorities of bicycle routes in the more affluent neighborhoods. And lastly, we forget that cycling is not easy or cheap for everyone. Extra secure parking spaces might be needed in low-income areas where bicycles are often stolen and where not everybody are able to carry the bicycle to the balcony. Thank you.